That transition gets me every time. Alright, welcome. We'll start in Life After Death. Lovely guests. We got Finn, we got Joe, we got Theo.
Hey.
Finn's not a guest. Finn's a co-host.
Thank you.
Topic today: Life After Death. This is going to be a controversial one. If you're a viewer and watching the stream and have any like religious beliefs, we're not trying to offend you. We're just discussing we're just speculating basically all the sort of options that are out there. So don't get offended. This isn't for the faint-hearted.
But we do want to see thoughts in the chat. Like, I want to see
definitely.
what everyone. It's always interesting to get an outside perspective. So anyone who has any sort of put in, it always adds to the convo.
And a little bit of a heads up, this is going to be a little bit one-sided from us.
Yeah, like
Since
I think
none
so.
of us are religious. So
a bit peak. We try and be a little bit more impartial than usual though. Like, it's not like we're trying to fight. We're not in a discussion. Like, we're not in a what's it called? Debate. Yeah, we're literally just chatting about it. So it's kind of chilled.
Alright, should we hop in? Shall I just read out the list that I have and we go off that, or do you want someone want to start off with a banger?
go for your life.
Alright. I am a religion apparently. Oh, Kian said he's religion.
Yeah, very good.
That's what we want from Kian.
So obviously life after death is someone or us believing that when you die, there's some form of life after that, right? That's just sort of the basis
Sure.
of it. Whether that is like another thing, another person, just like a spirit or whatever. There's obviously different things we'll talk about. To start us off, I've got us the theory of being reborn. So this is life. As soon as we die, life just starts over again. So you literally just reborn as another human. It's similar to what was one of the religions that we were talking about earlier, Hinduism, I believe. Whereas this is just straight up reborn. So you die, you're reborn. So it's like an infinity loop.
So
Every time you die,
so
this
no
is-
karma or anything.
no. Every time you die, you're reborn.
Okay.
Always as a human.
Yep, always as a human.
Wait, what was this?
And that's and then the reason why we have deja vus is because we experience it in our other lifetimes.
Okay.
So you know, like obviously everyone's experienced deja
Yeah.
vus. So those are just like us experiencing the same thing, but in another lifetime.
I thought deja vu was supposed to be like I heard it being quoted as the moment you died or something like that.
I have a lot of them, so I hope not.
Or
The moment you
or something
died.
like
What is that?
How's that
I don't know,
work?
I don't know, like in another life you've died at that, like during that sort of scenario, and then your deja vu is sort of just like recalling that.
Oh.
I don't believe that.
No, I mean I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying.
Because I was gonna say I've had deja vus of me playing Lego Star Wars. Like, how have I died playing? I've had a
Mate,
attack.
You
Kick in the
could have
bucket.
done like, what if you were snacking on like some nuts playing Lego Star Wars and you've just gone into anaphylactic shock?
Oh, mate. To be honest, what better way to go?
Yeah,
Lego
for
Star
real.
Wars.
Like, if I was gonna go, I would want to go playing Lego Star Wars. That's it.
You're
Yeah.
the death sound.
I don't know. Whether being I don't believe that at all. I don't believe being reborn happens just like that. Obviously, we have no evidence, unless there's probably some booky archetypes, like the aliens. Like, there's no real solid evidence for any of this.
Is
But-
Spencer frozen?
Am I frozen?
Or is it just me?
Yeah.
You're not frozen on stream, but you're frozen
Alright.
on the call.
Yeah.
That's
Am I
weird.
frozen now?
Impressive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No.
Okay, no, wait.
Okay.
Wait.
I think we can still
it's,
hear you. We can still hear you. It's fine.
Yeah. No, it doesn't really matter for us, does it?
Hopefully your trim
Sorry.
gets reborn. Brilliant.
Apparently need a cap, Spencer.
No cap, Spencer.
Says real.
Not
Oh,
again.
dear.
I'm not getting another cap
Get
out.
ripped into.
Yeah. So
Brutal. Leave the man's hair alone.
literally, what's gonna happen? I'm there. I don't believe in this personally. I don't think.
I think it's something I'd like to believe in.
I
'Cause it-
definitely.
Oh no. Maybe the Zoom's crashed. No, Zoom. Zoom. No. Alright, we'll fix this. We'll fix this, people. Don't worry. We will fix this.
I'm hopeless
Oh,
at
he's coming in.
We're back. We're back. We're back.
Okay.
All right,
Just
yeah,
kinda-
sorry.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I think what is it? Does it sort of line up with the idea that when you're reborn, you're sort of just so like it's kind of like I mean I guess it is the same thing, but some people believe you live a life and then you're sort of just your like spirit or like soul or entity, whatever it is just sort of placed into another being as they're born, and you're sort of like left with no memory of your past life or whatever. And people believe, you know, that you've lived X amounts of past lives, and you're sort of your being as a person is just a soul, and your body is kind of just the
The
you know,
vessel.
yeah, the vessel that
Mm.
you're in at the moment.
That's something I can get behind. I believe in like spirits and stuff, so that idea is more.
Of course you do, Spencer.
But I don't believe that we get reborn. I just believe we die, but we're just left on the earth.
What do you mean? Left on
Like,
the
as
earth
in
as
like we're
what?
just ghosts. Like we're just the spirit,
So you
believe
spiritual
in
stuff.
ghosts?
Like
Do you believe?
so-
Yeah.
yeah, I believe in ghosts. Yeah, 100%.
Have you ever done?
Oh, really?
Have you ever done a Ouija board?
No, but I'm very scared to do that. I think that's like a bit booky.
Why?
To what extent do you believe in ghosts? Like, do you believe that there are just spirits about, or do you believe that they're genuinely here, like, and they can interact with us?
Oh no, yeah, I've experienced it myself, so I just believe just because of past
Ooh,
experience.
I wanna hear
let's
this, I wanna hear
that.
Oh,
this.
We
okay,
gotta
yeah,
hear
fine,
that
yeah.
now.
So, in one of my old houses, this is in England as well. There, we had like our kitchen door, obviously, and it was a really old house, like Victorian times, like even older. The kitchen door was like really like an old wooden one in a way. We'd always close it, and every time, bro, every time in the morning, it's always open. No one, even my mum. My mum was so scared. We just called it like a poltergeist, like the friendly poltergeist. He wouldn't do any harm. He'd always just open doors, or like things would fall off like counters, just like tea towel, stuff like that. Nothing like heavy. But it was the door that really creeped me out because who's opening it? Like there's no draft. It's just the door every
Is it-
time would always open.
It would like close properly. It wouldn't.
Yeah,
you know,
we'd
you
always
couldn't
close it
open
properly, but we no one would ever witness it being opened. It just we'd wake up and it's opened, but no one's been downstairs.
Just fully open.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe someone was just messing with you, mate.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe you had
no
a
way, but
sleepwalker.
no one in the family has done it. Like no one.
It's like a couple of year-long prank or something.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine? That would be like
Mm.
3 year long prank.
You could leave a camera out.
Yeah, well
overnight.
I've moved now, but obviously it was my old
Oh,
house.
yeah.
But that's
See,
the
I
only-
would have thought I would have wanted to like pursue more concrete evidence, surely, because if
I was
you
like
sort
year
of got a
7 to year
suggestion
9.
of it,
I didn't. I was like
Mm.
whatever. I was more focused on gaming, you know.
It's definitely your sister. Yeah.
But I think a Ouija board would be cool, but not in my house. Because imagine it actually moves in your house. I'd be a bit creeped out.
I really want to do it. I really want to try it.
Even in your house.
Yeah, man, I'm not fast. I think it's just one of those things you've kind of got to experience.
Apparently,
Is-
we have one, and we keep meaning to do it when people are over.
No.
I want to
Yeah.
do one big time. I think it'd be really interesting, but you'd have to be with people you fully trust and you know aren't gonna fuck around. Because at the end of the day, like I'm not there to just like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it just properly. Like, because there's no point doing it and then someone just take the piss and you believe now you believe in ghosts just because someone like moved the glass, didn't tell you, and you spend your whole life believing in ghosts and died and fucking like that's
It's like the drink sack.
yeah. They chat about drink sack, man.
So yeah, with Reborn, we're gonna for every theory, we're gonna go like yay or nay from everyone, yeah. So with the Reborn, do we
Okay,
think
okay.
yay or nay? Like, would you believe in that?
Is this? Oh, okay. Would I or do I?
Or do you like do you consider this at all?
Consider
Mm,
no.
No.
it's a nice idea, and actually, I think
Yeah,
previously, those were my thoughts,
Mm.
like when I was a bit younger. But I think since then I've gone off it a little bit.
Yeah, I
think-
think no either.
I don't believe it, but I think it's the one that I like the most, if that makes sense. Like, and it's the one that I would like to believe the most.
Yeah. I
Well,
think, yeah.
I've got some
agree
cool
with
ones on here, so it might change your mind. We're only at the start.
Alright.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Obviously,
I think it's a nay from me.
yeah, okay,
on that one.
perfect. Yeah, so 4. Obviously, the next one we sort of touched on it is paranormal one. So we come back as ghosts, like I said. This is the one that I believe, where you die, you don't get reborn, you just stayed on the earth as a spirit in a way. So
You
you're
think
like, shouldn't-
everyone has a spirit?
Yeah, so your soul is just left behind on the earth.
Does that apply to animals as well?
Nah, not for me. Might do for other people, but I don't believe that. Nah, just for like humans.
Right.
Why? What's
So
the
shouldn't-
difference between animal and human for you?
We can talk. They can't.
They communicate with each other.
Yeah, they communicate in weird ways, don't they? Like I feel like we're way
But
more.
we communicate in a weird way. Like
What to them?
it's just yeah, of course you do.
True,
languages
but
are just
aren't we a lot
communicated,
smarter as creatures compared to them? Like our IQs and stuff are
Sure, but why should intelligence have any effect on spirit? Like,
Because they won't think
you got-
anything about it. They can't
I
think
don't know.
of.
Maybe I reckon there are some chimps out there that are probably smarter than some
To be
members
fair,
of the human
chimps are pretty.
race.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, why aren't they getting a go at being a spirit? Like,
Yeah,
I
maybe
feel
that's a
like
good
that's a
point, actually. Yeah.
strange differentiator. Like, why should intelligence be the one thing that bars animals from having a spirit that roams the world after death? Like, that
That's
feels a bit
true, actually. Yeah.
strange.
Is that spirit then sort of? Does it have to then just roam the earth for eternity, or
Yeah, yeah. It's just on there. Because like it's
okay?
just like
So
It's
every
like it's-
human that's ever died should be
Is-
around somewhere.
yeah, it's just chilling.
as a ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a good point
Could
in
be
chat,
billions of
Spencer.
them.
They said, someone said, "Do you stay in one place or can you be everywhere?" So what's the rules? Like, how would you
Ooh.
believe that it works?
Spooky. Do you stay in one place or can you be everywhere as a ghost? What do you think? I think wherever you die is the vicinity you're sort of trapped in. I think there's like a
What's the radius?
Oh, bro, we're gonna say like
Being quite specific.
we're gonna be like
Like the building you're in, or
Yeah, you get like a 10-meter radius. And that's it.
no, I say like a nice mile
quarantine
radius.
for eternity.
Mile
Those
radius.
motherfuckers that die in the Arctic, just like they see one lone traveler after like 5,000 years, they're like, mate, hello. You just get nothing from him.
I don't know. I just think for me, it's just being like a spirit. I've watched obviously videos on it. I've experienced like a poltergeist.
Polter sort of ghost.
Poltergeist sort of. I just feel quite. I just for some reason my ideology is just for that. Maybe I'm happy to be open now. It's just the fact that we have like it's like we are just energy, aren't we? Like we're made up of energy, like particles and stuff. And I feel like we just don't vanish completely. Like I feel like our soul like stays on the earth, whether you believe in
We
that or
don't
not.
vanish, but we decompose.
Yeah, but like surely we just don't. Like as soon as you die, you don't something's got to stay. I feel like
I mean,
feel like
I
you know.
appreciate that spiritual side, but I don't know. It doesn't seem logical enough.
Yeah, that's
like,
cool. Yeah.
We're made of energy, but we're made of energy in the way that our particles, form organs. Like they come together to form organs and
Yep.
Also-
chemicals would make us up and stuff like that.
I struggle to believe in it just purely because there's such a lack of evidence.
Yeah. Well then.
Like,
Yeah.
and that I think if there was more, then I think a lot of people would swing to that side. But because there's a lack, and if there is any, it's not substantial at all. I think that's what puts a lot of people off.
I think that applies to most, if not all, of this list, though. I mean, if there were any evidence for any of these, then
We wouldn't be
people
talking
would
about them as well.
True.
Do you think, Spencer, that so personally, do you believe in it? Because Don mentioned this. Do you personally believe in it as like a reassurance? So, like, does it make you feel better about death, or do you believe in it for a separate reason?
I was believing it because just to believe in it, as in I haven't found a better theory to support. Like I don't. When I die, I die. I don't worry about dying. It doesn't make me scared. Because at the end of the day,
So-
everyone's gonna die. So you can't stop
so
death.
You think you're just?
I'm just
fully
believing it because
involved
that's the
in
one
that.
it's a theory that sort of piqued my interest the most and I can get behind.
So
that
you're
makes
going to be running about as a spirit after you're done.
Yeah, bro, definitely.
All right.
I'm
cool.
running the world, bro.
Veal said, "What about brain dead, head empty?" So I'm guessing that's the purely rock hard scientific perspective, where what we classify as the consciousness just being electrical signals rushing around in the
Yeah.
brain,
Yeah.
these, and
Yeah.
then the PKs, and okay, so
So
what
when your brain is
was a
dead,
consciousness
yeah, we're gone
has
basically.
no way of existing anymore.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good point actually. But then
I
it's
think
just like
for me it's definitely the most depressing of this list.
For sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I feel like this solipsism thing and then nihilism are pretty up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. So Spencer, do you think that even though your brain's dead, those sort of are we about to get?
no, they love
Oh,
it.
it's been upgraded. Okay. So
about
do
to
you,
get
so you
zapped.
think that we're gonna have? So do you think it's possible for spirits to have thought, even though those are electrical impulses in the brain, and your brain doesn't exist? How do you think that like works?
I think like your brain like
Oh.
electric signals and your spirit is like complete different entities. Whereas like people believe in like your soul and your soul and your spirit, they're like completely different to your brain and your whole body as a whole.
But if your spirit is separate to your brain and your brain controls the thoughts, then how can a
So-
spirit think?
So I view it like this: like our spirit is just us on the inside, like our personality and stuff. What was that noise in my ears?
Yeah, but personality is just thought.
Oh,
Surely.
thank you for following.
It's just like an inner monologue.
True. Like, this is what's going through my head is like our spirit is just like another sort of energy in a way, where we're like our body is like the carcass in a way, like we're like like our spirit's like a parasite just used in our body, and once our body's done with it, just gets rid of it and moves on.
Ooh.
I
So, at what point does it inhabit the body?
Well, at birth,
Then?
like
Which I guess is a question analogous to at what point in your life does consciousness begin?
that's true. Well, for me, like it was different because I remember like the first conscious point I remember is like when I was in America, about 7 years old, 6 years old. That's the first time I remember anything. It might be different for you guys. You might remember like baby stuff. I don't know. I don't remember anything from being a baby.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
there's that condition like hypothymesia or something where you can remember like a ridiculous amount of experiences. Like there's people with it who can who claim to remember being born or like
Ooh, that's
being in
weird.
the hospital after birth. So like surely that's like an extreme case, but surely it's sort of proof that you exist at birth or
how
something like that.
let's say someone has that. How would that then relate to the person they're reincarnated as, or the spirit's transferred to? Do you reckon they would have the same, or do you reckon they would have like, let's say the deja vu situation? Would they have an awful lot of those deja vu flashbacks?
As a person,
Yeah.
well, I guess if you believed in that whole deja vu being sort of like a recollection from your previous lives, then I guess that would make sense because it is literally just extensive memory. It's just like really, really good memory. So it makes sense, but I don't know.
That's really interesting. I've never heard of that.
It's like I mean, it sounds pretty cool because imagine like you'd never have to study, mate. Like
That's
all you
true.
do, read through the slides, skim read it, it's like, oh, it's sorted.
I do quite like Veal's point actually.
Yeah, I see
I
that.
reckon your life
said?
life is made up of memories. So if you die and lose your memories, you're pretty much dead, even if you get reborn.
Oh,
I guess that's
Because
like a less like physical side to it though.
Because it's true, the moment your memories are lost, what do you really have that makes you you?
so does that mean if you have serious amnesia and about anything that you're as good as dead?
I was about to say, like, does thought depend on personality or the other way around? Like, are those two things dependent on each other in any way, or can they be independent?
Because personality traits, they're definitely
Yeah.
they're affected by your experiences, but they're not. It's not 100% made by them.
That's kind of sad.
Jeez.
Heavy hands in the chat.
I guess that would make sense though, because there's like people with like Alzheimer's or amnesia. Their personality can completely change. So I guess you could definitely say that memories mold a large amount of personality.
I wouldn't say if you you lose your memories as you get older. I wouldn't say that the old you is dead, because there are still other people that remember that, and they still remember that aspect of you, but it's your concept of you, I think, at that point starts to become a bit loose.
Probably, yeah.
What do you think about people that temporarily die having the same experience?
What does that mean?
I'm trying to think what that means. What do you think about people that temporarily die?
I think you just mean people who say like, oh,
they've died and come back.
Yeah, they've been dead and they come back to life and they've had an experience.
Resuscitated kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or is he like a white light and whatever?
never
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think he means like several people having experiences where they were dead for like a certain amount of time and then coming back and explaining the same phenomena or something like that.
Well, there's evidence that they have.
Up.
There's heart stops, right, and they come back. There's evidence out there that's happened.
No, as in like people coming back from death and then saying, I saw this, and then someone else completely on the other side of the world who doesn't know about this has the same experience and says the same thing. I think that's what he's suggesting.
I don't know, but that's a bit too far-fetched, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it's happened, then why not consider it?
Might just be the brain producing the drug to make them feel calm.
I read somewhere that when you die, your brain releases DMT.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, no, genuine. Hold on, I've got to look. I'll just make sure.
Possibly something similar, because people describe these experiences, out of body experiences, as they sound like they're very similar to psychedelic experiences.
Yeah, DMT is a strong one, isn't it? That's the strongest one out there. The one that
Yeah,
people die from that as well, don't they?
One. Yeah, people collect. Wait, do they?
Yeah, because
I thought it just causes like ego death, and people.
No, as in, like,
people
you don't
see
return, you
complete
die.
different lifetimes.
Because you get lost in the world there, they just die, so they don't actually come back.
What, for real? They
Yeah,
just go
yeah,
to
yeah.
like sleep.
Yeah, I watched
Like a
podcasts on
coma?
this. Yeah.
Oh damn. Okay. Did Joe
You
Rogan
gotta be,
do one?
yeah,
I
he
bet
did, yeah.
one.
You gotta be careful
Okay,
on that.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I was gonna say no, but like that stuff does look really interesting because people go in and they like, so they've gone in the trip for like 15 minutes and they wake up saying they've lived like 2 years in a different lifetime in a different
literally,
galaxy with beings that have felt like their family and stuff like that.
Ooh,
And it's just like,
and their ancestors,
how
right?
can
Oh,
that's
that's
like
terrifying.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
crazy. Imagine coming back from that. You'd be a different person. There's no way that like you could live as a different being and come back just yourself, just be like, all right, sick. Like it's not a dream if you've lived it. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Or at least if you convince yourself that you've lived it.
that's true. That's why I think psychedelics are cool. It's like a new way to open your brain, like a part of your brain up. I think I recommend doing them legally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we think on?
I ain't going near those.
You're not going near them?
No.
Ah,
Wait, not
Too
good near
much,
what?
too much family history.
psychedelics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to go near it, but I don't think I've got like a strong sort of sense of self, strong enough like sense of, I think you have to be like so strongly rooted in like your beliefs and your sort of ability to cope with mental trauma and stuff like that, that you'd to like go into that sort of full on experience. Like you'd have to be so prepared for anything to go wrong. And I feel like a lot of people who aren't ready for that and rush into it come out the other side pretty fucked up.
True. So with the paranormal theory, do you think yay or nay? I think yay personally, obviously.
Paranormal?
Yeah. So one we just talked about with ghosts being.
Nah,
Nah?
I couldn't possibly.
Three no's?
Because I feel. Wait, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, Spencer, do you believe? Because we didn't iron it out specifically, but do you believe that these spirits all have the ability to interact with with people who are alive?
See, that's the thing, because obviously I'd say yeah, but then everyone would be having, like, right now behind you you'd have like your mirror knocked off or something.
Yeah, literally.
So I don't think, no. I think it's only specific ones, but the reason why, I don't know.
The cool ones.
Yeah. So like, if Obama died, he'd come back. He'd be chilling. He'll be in the White House.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's so far fetched that like it just seems unbelievable. But it's just something that I have in my head just to like spice, it's just to spice up a little bit. Not to like make me excited for death or anything, but just like as something to think about, you know.
Mm.
Just like all of these topics. You boys
I think
think?
it's fair enough.
Yeah, do you think no, yay or nay?
I think no from me. No
Yeah.
from me.
No, I'm gonna have to say no.
Yep, no worries. Alright, next one is on the religion side. So we're gonna talk about a bit of the Christian theory. Yeah.
All right, just heaven and hell.
Okay.
So this is sort of similar to paranormal, where they believe that spirits are eternal, and that if you're a good person, you will go to heaven, and then if you're a bad person, you go to hell.
That's gonna have that's too much to talk about because it's just like
Hmm.
even like at the start you got to say like at face value, how do you decide who's good and who's bad? Because I swear in the idea of Christianity, it's literally just God's description of what it is.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's not.
But then that's like not
It's subjective,
really,
isn't it?
yeah, that's so subjective. How can, and it's also just I don't know. I don't know if you could hold that to a lot of people when you're sort of, because I feel like that's changed quite a lot. How good and bad is measured, like morality, it's subjective and it's measured in different sort of ways, and relying on the Bible and Christian texts to sort of depend that, I feel that's a bit dodgy. Like they have definitely skewed the like ideas of morality.
That again though could apply
definitely.
to an awful lot of these. For instance, the reincarnation as animals, like that could apply. You know, have you been a good person?
Mm.
So it's all dependent on what different religions deem as a good person.
Yeah,
Well,
But
it's all
a
like
lot of
give it to your
different
neighbour.
religions conflict with each other on this, which
yeah, this is why it's a bit meh. I guess you could go off the 10 Commandments. Like, let's say one of them gets broken, you're instantly in hell, right?
Not unless you say sorry though. Like Vielsa
Yeah.
said.
Really? Is it that
you
easy to get
yeah.
out of it?
On your deathbed, you can repent. You can pay for all your sins and then get a ticket to heaven.
Yeah,
that's
I
all
think
you. So you could live a lifetime of murder and and then just minutes before you die, I'm very sorry, Lord, and you're good.
I think so, but you know, for them it has to be like genuine. It has to be
Oh, okay.
like very
done officially.
Yeah,
What?
like
How they do it officially?
know.
Like on their knees, like begging in
God,
the
it's
rain.
all about forgiveness.
well, I don't know, like with a priest or whatever, and then
Really?
they oh,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I absolve you for your sins, that kind of thing. Like,
But
it's
how
got-
does he know
I
he's
feel
gonna
like it's-
die if he's gone to a priest? He just randomly dies the next day or something.
Well, if he's dying, Spencer.
Oh, okay. So like he's not about to get shot or something.
Oh no,
Because
probably
you know,
not.
like people always say, "Oh, say your last words."
In films.
Yeah, but probably in real life, like they got the
Wait,
idea
he's
from
just gonna
somewhere.
ask the guy who's about to shoot him.
He's like, "Any
"Oh,
last
forgive me
words?"
for my sins. He's like, what?
I don't agree with that at all. Then that theory, that's like rubbish.
This is, I mean, this is the one of the main problems I have with religion is that it sort of externalizes the moral compass. So it's not how good a life can I live, how good can I be. It's how well can I abide by these rules that are imposed by someone else, and if I don't abide by them, then I have an eternity of punishment and torture.
Yeah, and I feel
And
like
I think it's a lot fairer to just say that everyone can find their own moral compass, because I mean, deep down we don't need religion to know what's right and wrong.
for sure, I would agree with Joe because I think also having the reward, like having a reward at the end of the tunnel, is kind of skewed because then all you're doing is convincing people to take these morally good actions for a sake of a reward rather than being a good person. Like
That's true.
it's kind of like a mitigating like consequence. Like they're saying, oh, you got to be a good person, but like a lot of people probably aren't being a good person for the sake of it. They're probably just being there so they can be on their deathbed and be like, oh, it's all right, I'm going to heaven.
So you're saying if it's not done for a genuine cause, if it's just done purely to get to heaven, then it shouldn't
No,
be counted.
I have no input on whether it should be counted or not. I just think that's like an issue that maybe lies within
Oh, okay.
within Christianity or religion as a whole.
But just in case that's not enough, there's also oh well, if you don't do this, then
Yeah,
sorry, but you're going to
torture.
have.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that? The same religion that says, it will keep you solid throughout your life and God will look after you and he will keep you safe and treat you as his children. But if you step out of line, you're going to burn and are going to torture for the rest of your fucking life. Like,
Rest
your
of
soul.
eternity.
Yeah, literally,
mean-
at the end of the world, you're just going to be tortured.
It's an amazing control method.
Yeah, it is.
It's like,
all it is a scaremongering. It's just like
yeah,
ridiculous scale of scaremongering.
what's the best way to control people? Tell them that when they die, they'll either have an amazing life forever or they'll be tortured, and people will always try to go for the good one, or most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was brought back in the was it 1400s or was it earlier than that, Christianity? It's way earlier than that, isn't it?
Well,
Oh, I'm not gonna
Christians
call it
all
that, but I think like Thea said, I think it was just brought back just to control people. Like you said, it's used it's a fear tactic, isn't it? So it gives
Yeah,
the churches a way to control the whole mass of citizens.
I think it was definitely a control
100%.
method.
And we've just evolved it over time to where it is now. Just like another belief out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I think initially it was just used by like civilization leaders as like a pillar for keeping the civilization strong, because
100%.
like Theo said, it keeps the civilians in line because they have a certain set of beliefs that you can trust them to follow if you scare them enough. And as long as as long as you've sort of got some sort of reassurance they can't deviate from the path, then you're able to control them and do whatever you want to sort of keep your progression in line.
Especially when sort of hundreds of years ago, you lived in your village, you grew up in your village, you died in your village. There's no communication with, you may not have even known that other religions existed, no communication with other people. It's so much harder to think, oh wait, this might not be real. So it's all you have to go off in one sense.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I think the idea of paradise, at its core, is just born out of our fear of death, which is mankind's oldest fear. Like, it's been around as long as we have, and I think it's just instead of saying the party's going on, in the words of Christopher Hitchens, if the party's going on, but you have to leave. Instead, let's say, to make us feel better, the party's going on forever, and you can't leave. and the
Whoa.
boss insists that you have a good time. And it's
I mean,
it's
that's
comforting in a way, but it's also very dictatory. And
yeah.
that's what annoys me about it.
Well, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just like it's basically just people. I feel like it's just sort of like a safety net. Like you can if people get themselves into a mindset where they can convince themselves this is plausible, then they're happy for the rest of their lives because they know that there's the backup plan if they die.
That's actually blown my mind a bit. Just trying to process that still.
Um,
Okay. Yay or nay then for the Christianity one? No.
it's a no. It's a no
Yeah,
from
it's a
me.
no as well. Or no's.
Just too many thorny theological issues there.
Too good with onwards. Yeah. Oh. Okay, next one. We got the Hindu theory where we were talking about earlier as well. Reincarnation as a animal or a plant or something, or even a human again, depending on how well you've done in your life.
This is one of the ones that I like the most. I still don't believe in it, but it's definitely sort of. Or I mean, you said you've got more to come, but it's definitely of the ones we've discussed my favorite and the one that I think would give the most hope to an awful lot of people.
Yeah, true. Sorry about that.
It's a lot more balanced, and you have a lot as an individual you have a lot more control over it in that system than compared to Christianity or something, because it sets a moral compass, but you have more control over your like what your actions lead to. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
get what you mean, yeah.
You might wind up as a slug, but at least you're not going to hell for eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know how the scale is worked out? Like,
I was
how
like,
it's
yeah,
made?
5 good deeds, you're a frog, mate. Hit 100 and you're human.
Yeah,
Ah.
like is there like a literally just a ladder, like step 5 dog, step 10
honestly, I'm not sure.
horse?
But
Because that would be pretty interesting to see how they'd sort of compare it and how they'd measure what you've done and how that could be rewarded via reincarnation in a better animal.
it's strange. It's like, we touched upon it in the Christianity where people are just doing stuff in their lives purely to get in hell or to get in heaven, sorry, or to become like human, a deer, I don't know, a dog, like you said. And it's scary how people will actually go like full force on this and just their whole life is structured around a belief in a way. Like rather than them living their own life, they're believing a book that was written thousands of years ago, which might not even be true. And their whole life is just believing, oh, if I do really well, like really good, I'll come back again as a human. But then
sorry, go on.
I
just read up on how the Hindu one works.
Yeah, I'm ready to listen.
So it seems to imply that you start at the bottom, and in every life, as long as you do better than your previous, you'll move up.
Oh, okay. But what does that mean though? It doesn't do better. Like isn't that subjective
It
again?
just says if your Atman has better karma than your previous life, then you'll be reborn into a higher life form.
Whoa, you come back an alien, bro.
Wait, so is it one step at a time? So like you can only progress by a maximum of 1 step each lifetime?
That seems to be what it implies. It doesn't actually say, but
it's a long game to play.
Yeah, you're gonna be in there for a while before you get humans down.
Eventually, you won't be reborn.
I mean, there's some comfort in that, because if that happens to be the truth, that means we've all done pretty well for ourselves so far.
Yeah, that's true, because we're all here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, boys.
How do you do better if you're a tree? Like.
Yeah, for real.
You do more pollinating, don't you? Like you just get rid of your seeds a bit more.
No, because that's the whole point. Is it's out of your control. Like the seeds.
Make more oxygen.
Yeah, you just sort of.
You just gotta pump them seeds out, bro. You just gotta keep producing. Through those harsh winters, you gotta keep flowering. Doesn't matter about the weather, bro. You gotta push through. You gotta become that plant next. I don't know. I mean that
it does raise a good point though, because like, how do you be a morally good frog? I mean, even something that not necessarily a tree that's incapable of movement or anything.
Yeah.
But like even a dog or even like a chimp, you know, idea.
Yeah,
A chimp has no idea. Well, okay, it might have an idea of sort of what's good and bad, but it doesn't act accordingly, you know.
I feel
Yeah.
then the
The
biggest
system
test
only
of that
works.
would be when you're a human.
So is that maybe how it starts out? You start out as a human,
So are we the
so that
first
you
stage?
have
We're
the
actually
free will, you have the capacity, equal capacity for good and bad, and that decides where you go. I don't know.
It's a question we need to ask the
whoever-
Do you know what,
Hindu.
yeah.
it didn't say what happened if you didn't achieve better in your previous life. So do you stay the same or do you go down?
I guess you'd stay the same.
It's just a long
me.
ladder, right? Just a big long ladder.
Gabby said, does morality apply to animals?
Well, it has to in this sense, right?
Well, I mean, it has to in this sense,
Yeah,
but like
I
Joe said,
don't-
how would you measure it?
Like, I don't know. Like, if you're a wolf, you've killed more deers than everyone else, you know? Something like that.
Is that good or bad? 'Cause
But
if
Well,
you see,
yeah,
obviously
but-
that's a good thing.
But that's good for the wolf because they survive longer because they've ate more. And they've
yeah,
killed
but
their
that's
prey
just
more.
survive. That's just. But surely that could be greed.
Yeah, but then who comes up with all this?
That's the thing. That's the problem.
It's
Who
Like,
measures
it's-
this? Gods. Gods.
if you, oh, well, how about this? Like, obviously, you're put on the earth, quote unquote, to reproduce. How about you've made the most babies? So if a wolf's like had loads of babies, successful.
personally think that's immoral
Really?
Is it
as a human.
Oh, as a human, yeah, I agree.
as a human?
I think having more than like, I don't know, oh, this is a bit debatable, isn't it? But like having more than like 3 kids is a bit, I don't know. I think this is a bit meh. We'll leave that to
It would
out. We'll leave that
definitely
to
be
out.
stressful.
Yeah.
alright then.
Skip over
But
that.
obviously the
Yep.
the Hindu one, sorry, sort of relates to the paranormal one where you die and your spirit just gets transferred into another being in a way. So your spirit dies and it just goes into another thing. Whether you get demoted or promoted depends on how you do. So you never actually leave
So-
this earth. You're always on the earth, but just as a spirit in different body forms.
Earlier when we talked about spirits, you felt like it was connected to your personality, Spence. So would you, if you believed in this, do you think that as a frog compared to a human who is the same spirit, do you think that they'd have similar personality traits?
Yeah, but I think you wouldn't be able to show that. Us humans looking at frogs wouldn't be able to see that frog's personality. But if you're a frog and a
You could
frog,
do.
you could see the personality.
People often say they can with their dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You definitely can.
Yeah, but obviously, like we haven't studied frogs as much. So, if I looked at a
you're-
frog, I couldn't tell if it's hilarious.
I'm
or
sure
not.
someone
Speak,
has.
speak
You're
for
just saying it's
yourself,
more
Spence,
obvious
yeah.
in cats.
Someone out there studying those frogs and thinking, man, you guys have no clue. Those guys are fucking great. They've got so much personality.
Yeah, I think within the like beings of people or things, like if I was a frog and another frog came up to me, they could tell my personality because they're communicating
Do you
better. But we can't communicate with frogs, can we? Or we can't communicate with any animal apart from like chimps, really.
Okay.
Well, we could communicate with dogs.
No,
They
but like
understand
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like as in like
commands.
proper communicate. Like I can't understand what a dog's saying to me, can I? Like if it barks, what does that mean?
I'm hungry.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean,
I'm hungry.
It
Fuck
li-
off. I don't know.
it
like-
depends how well you know your dog.
True. But let's say I'm just meeting a dog for the first time. I don't know what it's saying. So it could be funny. It could be a good boy. It could be a bad boy. I don't know.
Okay.
It could be
enough.
hilarious. Like, I think
Hmm.
like it has to be within the actual species.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Veal
obviously,
can talk to dogs apparently.
say again.
Veal can talk to dogs apparently.
Oh, you get like dog whispers, don't you? Cat whisperers, all that stuff. Horse
I don't
whisperers.
know that. Yeah.
Okay.
They have a
fine.
vocab of 5 words. Okay.
So obviously on the Hindu
What are
theory.
those 5 words?
So what do we think of the Hindu theory? Yay or nay? I don't think. I
It's
don't-
it's more yay than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the yayest one so
Personally,
far. Yayest one so far.
Still
I-
not a yay.
Still a no, but it's definitely one of my favorites, and I think it's the one that gives a lot of people a lot of hope.
Definitely.
Okay. Move on to this is the last religious one that I have. It's the Buddhist one. So this one is where when they pass away, they get reincarnated as 6 different sort of destinies they have. They have gods. They get reborn as a god, demigod,
That wouldn't be bad.
humans, animals, a hungry ghost, or just sent to hell.
Okay.
This is
I
I
very
get the
strange.
idea of hell kind of immediately.
Where did these 6?
It's
Come
from
from?
the
Yeah.
Buddhist theory. So if
How
Wait,
what?
I'm so wait. So how? So
Hungry
you can be
ghost.
reborn as a god?
Yeah, no, hold on. But if you're a good person, the chances are you'll be reborn into one of the first three, which is a god, demigod, or human.
What? So they can just like pop gods like, oh, here's a god, there's a god.
Yeah,
you're a god.
this theory is a bit meh for me, but yeah, that's their theory. And obviously, if you're bad, you get
What-
reborn as an animal, hungry ghost, or hell.
I'm interested. I want to hear more about the hungry ghost.
same?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a hungry ghost?
Let's have a little look.
Is
It
just
doesn't have
when the
any
spirits,
description.
poltergeists?
Hungry ghost
knocking off
is
tea
a
towels.
Chinese Buddhism concept where and Vietnamese traditional religion representing beings who are driven by intense emotional needs in an animalistic way.
So
Right.
they can interact with people like a poltergeist or something.
Oh, these are like some pictures. How do I get this up on stream? But there's some. It's like you have
You
it.
can share your
Obviously,
screen.
Oh,
on
Oh, I've
Zoom.
just looked up the photos as well.
there's some like it's almost like The Exorcist.
They
That's
look
quite
like sort of
scary.
half human, half dragon type.
Yeah, I can get it up. We look at that quick. It's like almost like The Exorcist in a way. I don't know what that is. This one looks a bit. This one boot me out a little bit.
They've got a Hungry Ghost Festival.
Oh, that looks quite ugly. Look at that. Look at
Is
his.
this,
Nah, man, I like the look of him. He looks pretty.
Look at
This
his
is
bum.
seeming. This is seeming very reminiscent of the thing from Spirited Away. I don't know if it's related in any way.
Do you think?
Spirited Away. What's that? Is that a film?
The hungry spirit from. I don't know if
Japanese.
anyone's seen Spirited Away.
Yeah, a long time ago. Hungry Ghost.
Oh, is it animation / fantasy?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
there's
realm of Hungry
This
Ghosts.
spirit that just sort of runs around and eats everything.
That could be linked to this, couldn't it? Obviously,
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Hungry Ghost. Concept.
Okay. Well, to me, again, the idea of reincarnation is nice. This one's a little more perspective, a little more hopeful, given that God is one of the options.
Yeah, like
Well, so you think
of
that
even-
we'd come back as a god?
I just like I like to know that it's possible.
Okay. So just the fact that it could be there, it alludes to it.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
I mean, even demigod wouldn't be bad.
True. What is a demigod?
half god.
Yeah, but as in, what is a half god? Is there any like examples of that?
Yeah, to be honest, I can't think of one. I guess in the
In Greek
in the-
mythology.
in the Greek,
Yeah.
in the Greek Roman sort of thing, you have like Zeus at the very top,
Yeah.
and you have people like Prometheus, sort of. Well, okay, well,
Hera,
not
Athena.
him. You know, he got kicked off. But then like the messengers like Hermes and they were
I
sort
thought
of
all the other gods
underneath.
were sort of just equal. Yeah, like Aphrodite,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ares, Poseidon.
So a demigod's made up of a god. So when a god and a human have an offspring, that's a demigod.
Yeah, because they did
Oh.
that a lot of the time. Because Zeus was pretty renowned for doing that, I think, because he was a bit of a
Bit of a
sneaky
player.
bastard. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Zethus is a son of Zeus.
Yeah,
Zethus.
and,
Okay.
And
so
again, Titius.
Theseus was a demigod, no? Or am I?
Zeus has so
don't
many
know.
children. Jeez, and they're
Yeah.
all half gods or demigods. Hercules, obviously.
Herbie said, what about when Zeus had sex with a cow? Is that a demi cow?
No way. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Oh, it definitely is. They had.
The ancient Greeks were
Yeah.
Zeus had like 10 children.
promiscuous.
Yeah, Achilles. There's loads of them, man. Achilles was a demigod.
Yep,
Orpheus.
there's many. Yeah, obviously.
Oh, I was right.
Hold on,
Theseus, yeah.
hold on. Perseus, son of Zeus and mortal princess Deianon, whom he impregnated with a golden shower. So he's just peed on her and she's been impregnated.
I'm not
Oh, is
sure.
that what that means?
Wait,
Oh,
what?
okay, that's pretty
About
class.
Wait,
Not
what?
quite how that works, is it?
Golden shower I thought means when Tom pees on you, right? Yeah, urine play.
I mean,
Yeah.
more in a modern perspective, I guess. I don't know if that applies.
There's no link. Oh no. These Greeks are into some interesting stuff, aren't they? Oh, I can't show Willies on stream, can I?
Okay, I think we may be getting a little bit sidetracked.
Yeah,
potentially.
of course, yeah. So back to the whole point. I don't personally, I don't believe in this at all. I don't think. Obviously, it's more. It's a cool idea that we come back as a god or a demigod.
Yeah. It's very
Personally, it doesn't
similar
ring
to-
any bells for me. It doesn't like get me in the mood.
In the mood.
nothing
Like to
a
believe
golden
it, you know.
shower to get me in the mood.
Oh dear, that was an interesting one. What's Yeah? So what are we saying? Yay or nay?
I'm gonna say nay.
Still
I'm
no.
hesitant to just nay everything. So again, I'd say this one's a little more nay. I don't know, maybe like a 6 out of 10 on the yay
Okay,
scale.
just because it's more cause of gods, yeah.
I think this one probably comes. What was the previous one we did?
But Hinduism.
Buddhism. Yeah, I think this one comes below that one for me.
Okay, yeah,
I still think that's probably top of my list, but it's still a no.
yeah. Finn, what do you think?
Okay.
It's gonna be a no, mate.
Okay. I'm moving away from the religion. We've got an awesome one here. We talked about earlier.
Okay.
It's a pessimist theory, so where everyone just thinks we're already dead. So right now we're dead.
Already dead.
Yep.
So
What's it
how are we here?
called?
It's called the pessimist theory.
Oh right.
So what does that mean? Does that mean I'm dead and none of you are actually real? This is all just my imagination, or we're all dead in the same world?
We're in a world, but we're all just dead. So we're basically like the dead already. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like we're
Oh, okay. So we've already had our time.
yeah, and we're just dead. Like we're just here because we're dead.
So this is the afterlife.
I guess. But it's
But
not.
then-
It's not
Okay,
meant to be the
well-
good afterlife. It's just like
But
we're
then
dead.
people die in the afterlife because
Do they?
people die in this world. Well, the world we're in now, people die. So that means if
Oh,
we're
but do
already
they-
dead,
but
how
then-
can you die again?
I think the whole point is that it's already dead. How to say whether so like when we're dead, we don't actually die. This one's a
There's an
rubbish
after
one.
afterlife.
So are there just multiple afterlives that just
Like
continue?
every time we're just always dead. Like there's
Yeah.
no. I don't know. This one's a bit iffy. What do you think?
No,
of
I,
this?
I think I mean, but then you just have the you essentially that's just the reincarnation back
Reincarnation,
into
yeah.
human every time, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
essentially the same thing.
But it would have to be into a different world.
Because right now, I mean, we have no way of telling whether we're alive or dead, right? I mean, there's no test you can do to prove that either way.
True.
So if you just sort of assume that you're alive, then that's the same thing as reincarnation.
Yeah, I agree. And I this is a no for me. This is a bit rubbish.
I think it's an interesting thought. I guess, yeah. I guess like the others, there's not really any proof you can have
Yeah.
either way.
Does it matter? Like, does it matter whether this is current life or afterlife? Like, surely it makes
No,
no
but we're
difference.
just trying to find out what theory like sort of sparks your interest the most, you know.
No, I get that, but
Yeah.
like, as in, does it have any impact?
Because we're
Not really.
to us,
It
we're
just
still living.
so this
Still
is
going
yeah.
on with our daily
yeah.
lives.
This is actually to be fair. This to me this would be better than believing in the other ones we've fought because this one's just like there's no change, is there?
I guess that's just sort
Is
of an
that better?
eternity of. doing
I'd put
bits.
this above all the other ones, or compared to apart from the paranormal one, which I believe.
I feel like I don't understand it enough to sort of back it up.
It's just almost like a pessimistic view of like life. Like we're already dead. What's the
It doesn't
point?
sound very pessimistic. Like, if you're already dead, then there's no repercussions, and this world isn't exactly torture. Like, sure, it ain't great right now, but
But then but
Yeah.
you could argue like, oh, we're dead. What's
It's a
the
far
point?
side from hell.
Like people could view it as like, what's the point of living? Like we're dead already. Who cares? Let's just do whatever.
To
we
me,
want.
it's quite reassuring. Actually,
yeah, if anything, it is reassuring for sure.
it's at least this isn't like a test to see where we end up.
That's true.
Yeah.
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 You know,
It's not
just-
it's not a
you know, no
precursor
matter-
to
do what you
eternal
want.
torture.
No, whatever happens, you'll come back and just do the same thing.
Yeah.
I
continue
think so
going.
far this is probably my favorite.
I'll put it second. Yeah. Above below my paranormal one. Below my paranormal one. Yeah, we're good with this one. Moving on.
Yeah, sure.
Chat is
Gabby said, but that means there's no life.
Yeah, I don't understand where the life comes in. Is there
Where
an
would-
issue? Is there an
Because if we're dead now,
they don't
then
believe
we
in
have
life,
to
so-
start somewhere.
This is life. Like, there's no there's no life as in we see it. It's just
So
The
there's no
dead.
life and death. This is just
Mm, I feel like I need to hear more about this to like actually have an idea and get sort of a scope of what's going on.
I guess it just throws both concept of life and death just get out the window, because
Yeah.
if you don't have one,
Yeah.
you don't have the other.
It's just sort of being.
It's just existence, isn't it?
Yeah. bit strange, bit vague.
Yeah, it's a very
What's the
vague
next
one.
one, Spen?
So I've got one, Plato. Was it his name Plato? Was he a Greek philosopher? Plato.
Plato?
Plato. That's it. Why did I say
Yeah,
Plato?
No.
I can't pronounce anything on it. So he believed that it's similar to the souls where they're judged. So obviously good souls were led to an island of the blessed, and bad souls were chastised.
Chastised.
Punished.
So same again as the
So-
other ones where determining how well you did, you get put off into separate.
So it's
Lives.
sort of another heaven and hell concept.
Yeah, whereas it just says mentions soul rather than
Kind of, yeah. It
actual
kind of sounds
person.
like, the Egyptian like mythological beliefs in the way that they weigh your heart on the scale, and if you're good, then you get to go into sort of a life of bliss, but if not, then you're just sort of trapped in the underworld.
With all the crocodiles.
Yeah, but I just think this is another way for them to control people. Obviously, again, like, oh, do bad, you're gonna get punished for the rest of your life.
That's the essence of most of the.
Yeah, true. That's why I want to get
modern
onto like the
religious
more
beliefs.
interesting ones that are sort of more modern.
Yeah,
So for this one, this just isn't meh for me. It's just like,
yeah, a bit meh.
I mean, I guess like heaven and hell on its own, they're polar opposites. So I like the idea of a purgatory
yeah,
I
somewhere
was
in the
gonna say-
middle.
Okay.
But I get confused because it seems pretty much analogous to our own world. If purgatory is meant to be a test, isn't that just where we are right now?
yeah. So
I'm
our
pretty
whole
sure
life's a
purgatory is
test.
It's like basically it's just a waiting room
From a
I
Christian
thought,
perspective,
but
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
but it's also not actually life, because I thought it was just literally like it was nothing. Like there's nothing.
Earth is
contained within.
purgatory. Is it actually like? Okay, that's just me being dumb. Then move on.
No, I thought purgatory was
I-
a separate thing.
Yeah, I thought you died, then heaven or hell or purgatory for a period of time.
I thought purgatory was literally just like a void. Like
No,
Oh, it appears we are
the
all
chat says no.
Katega. Oh, that's a theory. Okay.
Oh,
it's supposed
okay.
to be you getting
Oh.
cleansed of minor sins, right?
Okay, right. It's I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you do die
It's an
and go to
option that's
purgatory.
not. Is it only a Catholic thing though?
Herbie's right, apparently.
You clean up.
So you get cleansed of your minor
Okay.
sins.
oh yeah, in Catholicism, a place of
I didn't
state
know
of,
it was only Catholic.
suffering, inhabited by the souls of sinners who are expiating their sins before going to heaven,
Expiating? What does that
So-
mean?
getting rid of,
Okay.
forgiving.
So it's a place where people have done some like minor.
Yeah,
Bad.
I mean, Herbie sounds like he's pretty much hit the nail on the head.
But to me, that's just scary because, like I said before, people are just. This is almost like a
It's
waiting
mini
room.
hell.
Like it's like we're in a waiting room
Well, it
now,
says-
right? That's what I think, right? We're in like a waiting room, basically, and people are thinking after our waiting room, there's gonna be a better life for them. So they just might view this life as us being, oh well, let's just survive this life. There's like endless riches when we go to heaven, you know. Or for this place, it's the island of the blessed. So people might just view this as like a waiting room, and I think that's a bit scary because then they just don't actually do what they want. They just do what they're being told to do, just so they get rewards.
Potential for them to waste their
Exactly,
life
exactly,
when there may be nothing afterwards.
exactly, and that's scary for me. I wouldn't. That's why I don't
Isn't
believe this.
I feel that's just how atheists think Christians and are spending all their lives. Like that's just how it is in general. I think.
Potentially, we've got a bit of a warped perspective on this because
Yeah.
we're not seeing it from the inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
true.
think that they might argue that that sort of behavior isn't necessarily just in preparation of an afterlife, but is in fact just a righteous path that shows that you're leading a good life currently. But then obviously that's hard to argue for me because I want to counter argue myself, but there we are.
Yeah. So with Plato's theory, what do you think? Yeah or nay? Personally, I think nay.
it sounds pretty similar to
Yeah, it sounds fairly,
Christianity.
Yeah,
fairly
it's,
similar, I think,
it's
to what
just
you
like
said.
heaven and hell.
Yeah, no.
No.
Alright. This one's cool. This one I want to get onto. So obviously, this is the pharaoh theory. So the Egyptians, obviously, when dead pharaohs that died, they always mummified them. And they believe that if they preserve the body well enough, they'd come back. It's the most possible chance that they'll come back into a second life. So they believe that once their leader died, they'd wrap up all their skin, try and preserve it as well as they can, because then they have a high chance of being reborn again.
Were the Egyptians the ones that were sort of buried with their riches?
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
in their
Yeah.
afterlife, yeah.
And
And
the
often
pharaohs were buried with
servants.
their slaves. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess slaves, not servants. Yeah.
Wait, so they killed the slaves.
Yeah, to serve
Yeah.
them in their afterlife. So
Yikes.
pretty much look after the master, because otherwise you're fucking dead. Do it.
Oof, that's
It's quite a risky job.
that's questionable. I mean,
Yeah, that's. So they believe
but-
death is temporary. So their pharaohs are going to come back.
but didn't they believe that pharaohs each time they were sort of divine beings in a way? They were sort of halfway to God, or any
Yeah,
god.
yeah. That's why
So
they
were
worship
meant to
them.
be. So were they then? Was each pharaoh then just a sort of
A cycle of the same one, basically.
reincarnation in
Yeah.
a way of?
It could have been, yeah. This is just called the pharaohs theory.
This sounds pretty interesting. If you guys want to hear what the journey to the underworld was described as.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Go on.
The journey to the afterworld was considered full of danger. Traveling on a solar bark, the mummy passed through the underworld, which is inhabited by serpents armed with long knives, fire-spitting dragons, and reptiles with 5 ravenous heads. Upon arriving in the realm of Duat, the land of the gods, the deceased had to pass through 7 gates, reciting accurately a magic spell at each stop. If successful, they arrived at the Hall of Osiris, the place of judgment. And that's where they did the weighing of the heart. So before there was even the sort of calculation of you as a good person, you've got to fight through snakes and dragons and like
Jeez.
remember a magic spell. Which is
I guess that kind of is why you need your slaves.
yeah,
to
man,
get you
they got
back
to be
there,
they got
man,
to be
you
like
know,
backing you
fight
up.
off the serpents.
Was their concept only for the pharaohs though, or was it for everyday people?
No, that was for just mummies in general. Anyone that got mummification. So anyone that was sent to the afterworld.
So did they have any theory of death for just the regular person, or was it they're dead, that's it, done?
I seem to recall that that if you were rich enough, then you could be mummified and buried.
Okay,
but
so
otherwise you'd just be sort of buried in the sand, or
So poor people, bit peeked out, kind of just
Yeah.
didn't get to do anything. They just
I
sort of died.
don't know. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, to me, this is a lot more interesting than the previous ones, because it fully is just like someone has just made up a whack story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
It's not sort of. I mean, it's morally based, but it's not as polar as the previous examples
Yeah.
we've had.
And it also didn't sort of end in some sort of like everlasting, heaven. It was literally the fact you did that so you could get back, so the soul could return to your body, so you could have another life. Like it wasn't there's no like crazy reward. It's literally just another life,
Yeah.
which is pretty
I wonder
interesting.
what happens to the failed souls then. They just get eaten by
Trapped in the underworld.
traps in the underworld
Yeah.
forever.
Jeez.
Or...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like Anubis's thing, or like,
Anubis rings a bell.
well, I actually think he was the god of mummification.
Ooh.
I might be wrong. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Osiris was god of the underworld, of course. Yeah.
Cyrus. Isn't that a hero in Overwatch? Alright, fair.
Of course, that's where your head goes, Spencer.
I was like, Cyrus rings a bell. So with Pharaoh's theory, what do you think? Yeah or nay?
I like it. I think
I would
wacky.
love to believe in it. I would love to believe in it, man. But
Yeah. Mate, if I had to like on my deathbed prepare to fight serpents and remember a magic spell, I'd be all for it. Like that's pretty exciting.
That's pretty cool.
I think if I were an ancient Egyptian peasant, I think well, okay, no, not a peasant, but if I was rich enough to have a proper burial, I think it would be quite reassuring to know that there's a chance.
Yeah.
But of course, it comes with the demons and monsters and eternal torture thing as
There's
well.
there's also damnation,
pattern.
which is it's the underworld. You're just surrounded by chaos, fire, and struggle, apparently,
Oh.
which is another
Chaos.
path for them.
Oh wait. Oh, so after they judged their heart, if the heart was equal in weight to the feather,
Yeah,
so
that's
their
the one.
deeds were equal, then they were justified and achieved immortality. But if not, they devoured by the goddess Amamet. If you look
He's
up
the croc
pictures,
man, right?
she's like that big beast thing who sits
Oh.
by you whilst you eat the heart, whilst they weigh the heart. And this meant that they would not survive in the afterlife. But when a pharaoh passed the test, he became one with the god Osiris. So that sort of works with your whole like demigod theory as pharaohs.
Mm.
That's pretty crazy.
This is a bit of a mishmash of all the other ones, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite
Got a
interesting.
bit of
though, that this is, like,
reincarnation, bit of karma
Yeah.
in there.
I like it because it came like obviously like quite a long time before all like Christianity, so it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting that they've come up with those ideas, and it's sort of been, well, perhaps ideas from that have been taken and carried on to modern religion.
That was an interesting point.
So yeah, nay.
Verdict on this then.
I like it. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I just
Yeah,
think
I
it's
don't
creepy as fuck. Like it's sick.
It's groovy, yeah.
I think it's pretty fun. Like, it's definitely one of the cooler concepts.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I'm down.
I'd love to ride the what was it, the solar bark.
The solar bark, yeah.
Yeah.
Through the land of the wait, where was it? Yeah, through the underworld.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds pretty cool. Like I'm in.
should we all do it? Get someone to
Mm.
mummify all four of us.
Sure,
Go
man.
on a trip.
Alright, this next one's a bit more modern. Has everyone watched Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Or at least heard of it, yeah? Yeah?
I was just gonna be related.
So this is a theory where the deceased aren't always dead. So some of them actually go to the upside down world, which is a parallel universe, and they can communicate to us through the light bulbs. So they believe that some people that are dead aren't actually dead, they're just in another universe or parallel universe to us.
Has this fully come from Stranger
Yeah,
Things,
yeah,
or
this
was
has fully
this
come
around
from
before?
No, this is fully
Oh,
come
okay.
From Stranger Things.
Yeah, so this is literally like
But there's people who live their life based on this. Like,
no, this is just a
idea.
this one now is just a theory. This is just like, so the whole theory of that
theory.
show, is it possible that we have another parallel universe?
Man, it's just good writing. Like that's
Stranger
what it
Things is a
is.
documentary.
So through the context of Stranger Things, then how does someone pass from one world into the other without dying in the process?
You get taken
It
by
doesn't
the
say, it just
Demogorgon,
says-
mate.
The deceased aren't always truly dead.
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's not. Does it have to be inherently sort of a bad world? Like, does it have to be
No, it's just a parallel universe. Well, so if
difficult to inhabit, or is it just similar to?
well, if you think a parallel universe to us would be pretty shit, because it's like, well, this is pretty good. So everything's like shit on the other side.
It depends how like true to the original it goes, I guess. Like
Yeah,
if
true.
the Upside Down is like the show, then fuck that.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just an identical Earth full of old people,
Yeah, sound.
No, for here it just says the upside down, so I'm guessing it is like the show. So
Yeah,
it's basically
no
gonna be
thanks,
dark.
I'm
It's gonna
good.
be, it's gonna be
Yeah, I'm
awful.
alright. That's a no from me.
Mm.
I don't believe in this at all. I think it's
So
just from the this is from the film.
what did you say your reasoning for ending up in the Upside Down was? You've died and everyone goes
Yeah,
there,
no.
or you died
So,
in some
so some people that have died just end up in that parallel universe, in the upside down world.
Why?
It's just some people.
Why did they end up there?
All
and
it
not...
says is
there's
some
no
of
reason.
them just simply go, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not my favorite so far. I'd
Nah,
say.
I don't.
It's
Yeah, this is a no from me.
bit of a seedy theory.
Say all green and no.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I'll just chuck that one in because I thought it was like a bit modern, you know.
Yeah.
This one's
Yeah.
cool as well. This one's cool as well. So this is how do you pronounce this? Cryogenics theory. So obviously this is where you freeze your body, right?
Cryogenesis.
Oh,
Cryogenics. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
cryogenics theory. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So where you freeze your body or preserve it at a really low temperature. There's obviously theories of that, like Hitler's been done like that. Walt Disney, people like that have actually had this done. To stop your cells from
Hitler?
evolving. Yeah.
Walt into the chat.
Until medicine finds a cure for your death and brings you back to life. So they believe that if they freeze their body, eventually medicine will catch up and you'll be able to get revived.
this is kind of the opposite of your soul and your body are separate then,
Yeah,
because they're trying to protect their vessels so that their soul can
and
either
stay in
come
it.
back to it, or their soul always stays in the body, and as long as the body's protected, so is the soul.
Yeah,
I feel like this is just sort of Futurama, no?
yeah. This is just like these are all modern ones from now on, or pretty modern ones.
We've gone from so apparently all these modern theories are just based on TV shows.
Yeah,
I
true.
think
Or, yeah.
the way I understand it, the whole idea of sort of cryo sleep, is there's a really big problem with it, that we have right now, where the thing is with ice crystals is that they have a lower density than water. So when water freezes, it expands. So the water that is in your cells when you're being frozen is going to expand, and it's going to destroy, like, what is going to destroy your cells essentially. Because I mean, you are what, 70% water.
Yeah, true.
Science
yeah,
coming in.
It's the first bit
sort
of
of
science,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Any sort of attempt at revival is going to be difficult at that point.
Yeah, so they just believe that medicine would be so far advanced in the future that they're fine. That
In
it
the
doesn't.
future, but I thought you said Disney did it.
Yeah, there's theories out there that this has been done on Hitler, this has been done on Walt Disney. That's
What
why
have we
this
done
could
on
be.
Hitler?
That-
Is it actually like? Is it actually?
Yeah,
that
Google it, Google
they're
it.
still frozen and they're waiting for a cure for their death.
Yeah, so
I'll
we
believe that when I see a frozen block of Hitler.
Hitler in a block of
yeah, it's like a belief that like the Russians froze Hitler to death.
Right. Okay. What about the part where he shot himself?
Yeah.
This is just a
Okay.
theory. And there's also ones where he like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a detour actually. Ignore that. I'll stop myself. It's conspiracy.
Phil's
Yeah,
raised a good point here. So what about frozen animals that come back?
yeah, because
I
we've
think
done
I
that
saw
as
this
well.
on Attenborough
Yeah.
once. Like, there's a was it like a chameleon or something that allows itself to be frozen during winter to sort of ride out the winter? and
What a
then it sort of-
madman.
I don't know. I have to say I don't know how that works.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I'm not a biologist.
So yeah, so I guess that theory could spark from animals being frozen. But I've heard of that as well.
It's
then,
possible. Maybe just for sort of more extended periods of time, it's not so feasible.
Yeah, like a couple, like 100 years, debatable.
Mm.
Happy to give it a go though. I'll be frozen for like a month, come back like Captain America.
Yeah.
Obviously his was like
You think
60
you'll come
years.
back hench, yeah?
Yeah. No, he
Yeah,
had
I
that
guess,
serum
yeah.
injected into him, didn't he? He had like steroids and
Oh,
stuff.
that's true. Yeah, of course. We could just pump in some
Hmm.
protein powder into your
Into my
whilst you're
muscles.
frozen. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
see what
I think
happens.
I think there is a point though. Once all of the microelectrical signals in your brain have stopped, I don't think there's a lot you can do at that point. That's like brain death. Brain death comes. I'm not sure how long after sort of death, but like your brain is still active for a short period, maybe a few minutes after you've died. But like beyond that point, no one's ever been revived from beyond that point, as far as I know.
Mm.
So being frozen for any sort of extended period of time is going to be difficult to come back from.
Yeah. So summarizing this theory, what do you think? Verdict wise. Yay or nay?
Bit far fetched, perhaps.
I'm
Yeah.
50-50. I'm 50-50. It would be really cool if it could work.
There's a lot of ifs. There's sort of a lot of how far could modern medicine advance.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's very future fetch, isn't it? It's like all dependent on
Yeah.
future.
So that day may never come.
Yeah. But at least with this theory, they don't have to change their life to follow like some sort of structure to get into a better life, if that makes sense. They're just freezing themselves just
True.
to get the same life again.
Isn't it sort of just avoiding death instead?
Yeah,
of
this is
coming
just trying to
back
avoid death, basically.
from it. Yeah.
Also, it's often focused a lot on if you've died from an illness, curing that illness, but old age. If you just die from old age, how can you come back and cure that?
Oh, hold on. So it says your body can be preserved at extremely low temperature. So basically, it's saying that you do die, but your body doesn't decompose because it's preserved at this low temperature. So they have died. So they're hoping for this medicine
Yeah.
to like bring them back to life, basically. So they go
Mm.
into this chamber
It's-
knowing they're dead, and they're hoping in the future that they can come back.
I guess
yeah.
it's just a question of whether your consciousness is still there. I mean, obviously your body's still there,
Yeah.
but you thaw someone out, they're just gonna be dead on the table. Really, let's be real.
And
Yeah.
the consciousness be frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice to think about, but I don't believe in it. Ben, what do you think?
Also,
Huh? What?
Yeah or nay?
Nay.
Alright.
I think no, but surely that could be tested on animals pretty easily.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, I think that we should. I reckon it's already been done. You know.
It's
Probably.
probably been, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right, this next one's a bit spooky. You ready? Your mind's gonna get blown. Ready? This is called the egocentric theory. According to the proponents of solipsism, the one you were talking about earlier,
Oh
solipsism,
yeah. I like this
you
one.
are the only person who exists, and the
I
entire
don't like this.
universe is but
I
the
like
fruit of your
this.
imagination. Thus, when you die, logically, the universe will no longer exist.
Yeah,
This is
that's.
this is the whole you're in a coma, wake up thing.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
kind
It's
of.
like
Is it not?
it's the fact that all no. It's the fact that like the only reality you can truly 100% confirm is the reality of your own being, because that's proved by your own thoughts. Whereas everything else could just be an external display of a conscious organism, but actually is just unconscious on the inside. Like I think that's the idea of it. Like so that the only thing you can truly confirm is yourself. Therefore, everything else could just
Be
be
fake.
it could just be a perceived reality. And as soon as you're dead,
Everything
then
else is dead.
that's not necessary.
Right, but does that mean that like we're all technically living in our own universes? Because let's say if I die, you're all not here anymore.
Well, I mean it would argue for each of us that every single person, every single individual is their own universe. Like,
Oh,
I guess
that's weird. Yeah, just think about that. Like, yeah, oof.
Because obviously, like if I'm talking, if I believed in it myself, then my belief would be that, or the theory suggests that this is my universe, because I'm the only one, or like as individuals, the only being you can confirm is yourself. But then obviously, like you guys believe that yourselves exist, but because I can't empathize on a level to feel your like reality, feel your thoughts and stuff like that, then I can't confirm your existence in the way that I can confirm my own. Therefore, you could not necessarily be real. Like I think, yeah.
Existence machine broke.
Yeah, sorry guys. So everyone's the one, but no one's the one. So like, because you can't confirm anyone else, but you can confirm yourself.
Yeah, so we're almost in our own little realities. Like me talking to you right now, if I died right now, you wouldn't exist, because this is just all me right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm like
exactly.
projecting all of this.
Nothing around you would exist. Nothing around you would exist.
Basically, all of you there could not be real. So if I died,
Yep.
you wouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
That's weird. Ugh. That is weird.
I don't like to think about this.
Yeah, this has actually scared me a bit.
It's quite a hard one
cool.
to
It's
comprehend,
so cool.
though.
Yeah, my head's like a bit.
I mean, I thought about this as a kid. I in a similar way, it was more my entire life could be a movie set and everyone just could be actors.
So like Truman
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, Truman Show.
Wasn't that in the film? Wasn't it? Was that a film?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's
I've never
it's a
seen
real
that film,
condition.
though.
It's a real condition.
What, where you genuinely believe that?
Yeah, you
Oh,
believe
okay.
everything's staged for your benefit,
Mm,
or everything's artificial, and
yeah.
you are the only thing that's like real.
No, I've never seen that film, but
Pretty cool.
yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
like a
Big
must-
fan.
I actually quite like that as well. I give that a little yay. I quite like the idea of that.
Yeah.
To me, that's
I
just.
like it.
Yeah, say again.
Because it's not necessarily based on like science or anything or religion or anything. It's literally just based on what you experience right now as a human being, like, and how you can only confirm that you yourself are 100% an existent entity because you're thinking, because you are here, because you can feel
Yeah.
the blood in your veins, that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, like that's my
very-
self-awareness I was talking
it's
about.
very raw. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm a fan.
Mm.
I'll give it a yay.
I think it's an A. It's an A from me, but it's still got me pondering because there's no way to prove otherwise. I mean, there's no way to prove anything beyond the capacity of your own senses and your own experiences. So, nay, just because I don't really want to think about it, but low key, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those depressing ones, but
I feel like the depressing ones are the ones I most sort of agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah, much to think about.
What do you think, Theo? What do you think?
I think it's a pretty cool one, but I'm kind of struggling to think through it and like comprehend it almost. Like there's a lot to take in with that one, I think. And it really puts a different skew on reality, which a lot of the other ones don't, because that affects my life now more than most other ones. So I mean it's a no, but that's a lot to think about with that one. A lot more than I think the other ones.
Yeah, I think this one's sort of blowing my mind a bit.
Essential hours, yeah.
I've got
Spencer, have you got anything on terror management theory?
I've got 3 more. I've got just a dream theory. I've obviously got the simulation theory. And I got one called the nihilist theory.
Nihilist.
Nihilist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
that's the
nihilist
last
stuff.
3 that I have. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then if
Do
you have
wanna-
any
do you
others,
wanna
then
bring
yeah.
that-
Say
I
again?
have two. I have 2 more that maybe. Well, I don't know. I just it's on this.
Yeah,
thing I read it.
I'll just finish this quick, and we'll just do them 2. Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Perfect. Well, obviously this one's a quick one, like where we're in a dream of a superior being, and they have a higher level of intelligence and consciousness than us, and we're just in their dream. And when we die, they just wake up.
When we die, they wake up.
So when our life's over, that means they've woken up.
You mean when
Why is that?
everyone's
Why is that a
dies?
necessity?
Because we're in their dream. So they're at the moment they're
Surely it's the other
sleeping.
way
What
around.
do you mean?
Right.
Surely it's when they wake up we die.
Yeah, when they wake up,
Yeah.
we die. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
we're just a dream figment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
we're
don't
just
we don't cause them to wake up. We're just
yeah. So they wake up when they
That's
want.
the
But
Oh, I
that's
see.
we
When
die.
they wake up, we die.
Yeah.
So
that's
what does that mean for people that
But people
are
die at
dying
different
right
times.
now? Yeah.
But that also supports the other theory where we're all in different dreams. Like this is not real. This is like a dream. You're all dream. You're all like a dream to me.
you're all dream.
Yeah.
So each dream is a different perspective.
Yeah. So this is all like based on that superior being's perspective in their dream.
Interesting.
It's a
I quite like
big
that.
one. It just
That is
supports
big.
the other one in a way.
It's similar to solipsism where it's just like, you can't truly confirm what you think to be real because there's too much to it.
Please can they wake up?
Yeah. Like how do you know that it's not a dream?
Exactly. For me, this is a bit. I think it's cool. I quite like this as well because makes you think. Gives you a bit of thinking time. Could be real. Could not.
I think that gets so much. I mean, it's reassuring to me, but possibly just because for us, I think our own experience of dreams is that they feel completely real and immersive when you're in them.
Yeah, 100%.
And in a way, that translates quite easily to just becoming like reality.
For sure. And I feel like you can have extremely vivid. Have you guys ever had the sort of phenomena where you dream something very vivid and then you wake up and you go through your day, or like you go through a couple of days and then you realize that you'd sort of in your mind you'd believed something to have happened, but it actually happened in your dream?
I'd convinced myself I had an exam that day and woke up panicked as hell.
See, that's crazy.
I've done that before as well.
You can genuinely convince yourself that things have happened.
Yeah, so yeah or nay for this one?
I'm entertained. I'll give it a
Yeah, I like that. Bit of Parkinson's.
yeah, no.
I guess it's very closely linked to the whole simulation thing, which I think we're getting.
Yeah, it's the next one. That's the next one. Yeah.
I can't wait for simulation.
So I don't really like the idea of that one either, but I would say probably an A for this.
What are you thinking, Theo? What are you thinking?
No, not really. I feel it's kind of similar to the previous one as well. Like we're the only person, or no, everything around us disappears. None of this is real. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's no.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll move on. This is linked to the next one, obviously. So life is just a massive simulation. Some people believe that our conscious was programmed as well. And obviously when our death is corresponded with the end of the program, if you believe it like that, so it's like we're in a program in a way.
Mm.
But basically this whole blanket is the simulation theory. I want to get your thoughts on this.
I guess my biggest question about this one is who's running it.
Who controls it?
Some higher power, some advanced civilization.
And why are they?
And yeah,
doing
why
this?
is the biggest question?
What
Why-
are they getting from putting us in
why
this
bother?
world?
Could it not just be a test? Like we, like
For
we
what?
run experiments with lab rats
Oh.
just to see what happens. Like just give them certain stimuli and just see what
Oh,
the
so
outcome
you're
is.
saying for them this is essentially just a science experiment.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
If there is a them.
They're playing a game. It's just
Yeah.
Sims.
Yeah, someone's mentioned Black Mirror, the Hang the DJ episode. If anyone's seen that.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that's
that episode
awesome.
so much.
I think so.
Like Hang the DJ episodes from Black Mirror where our lives end up being data for some higher power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. Like they're just running this simulation to collect data, to create
Yeah,
like
they run the simulation to see if they run away with each other, and then if they do,
Mhm.
then it becomes a successful match, or it contributes to that statistic that they could become a successful match, which is pretty cool. Like, I love the idea, and the fact that they have like no awareness that that's what they're in until the last moment.
yeah. I mean, so basically we could be like we're in the simulation, they're collecting data on us, seeing how efficient we are as different human beings in different scenarios, and then collect our conscious data and use that to program like an elite human or whatever, or an elite being, whatever that
So
be.
purely, it's plausible to entertain the idea that the simulation is run not by like a higher being, but just by other humans.
I'm thinking it's run by a computer that they've built, so we're in a computer simulation.
I think I'd like to, because why couldn't it just be built by a human?
Well, so you think one human has just built this, and we're living like in Rick and
Not one
Morty?
human, but like, why not? Why not in like 100 years in the future? What if scientists come up with a way to, simulate our entire civilization up to this point? Surely that's
Yeah,
plausible.
that's plausible. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like a higher power.
That is actually a really good point, because still we don't understand every point in our evolution. We don't understand how we got here, and the best way to do that is to try and emulate our world in the best way, in the most accurate way we can with the simulation.
Yeah, and if
And
the technology, then
if you've got the technology, why not? That's the biggest science experiment ever. Try
it makes
simulate
sense
your
that-
own past to try and figure it out.
Exactly, it makes sense. It makes sense that a simulation that it primarily involves humans is one made by humans, because
That's true.
surely the details that you'd get from that experiment are most
Gonna be
beneficial to
modeled.
us.
Yeah,
Cool.
similar to the God made man in his own image kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
why would you just radically change how everything looks?
yeah, exactly.
How does it have any bearing on you? How does it help you in any way if you're simulating something that's
I'm gonna have to go grab a laptop charger.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you go grab it. Go grab it.
I might have to move as well and run downstairs. Hold up,
That's fine.
because there's no plugs up here.
Yeah, no worries.
Run.
You're sending-
I'm just gonna
I'm-
mute myself and I'll see you guys in a bit.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the idea that if you assume that there's one real world, which is very similar to our own, in which throughout the universe there are countless intelligent civilizations who at some point in the revolution reach a point where they are able to simulate such things
Yeah.
at such levels of detail. You then have, as opposed to just having one world, then you have countless
Mm.
Pretty much.
possible places in which should be existing. So actually the overwhelming probability is that you're not in the real world. You're in one of these however many simulations.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
So from a purely probabilistic perspective, that way, you could say that it's it's overwhelmingly probable that actually we're in one of those.
Yeah, I completely understand. I get
But
what
there's no way to
exactly you're
tell.
saying. That actually makes sense. Like, It does. Like, if it's possible, then surely this, if you're entertaining the idea that simulation is possible, then you're right. The probability suggests this isn't real. It's just a question of whether we believe that would be ultimately possible in one way or another.
Yeah, it's a bit of a terrifying thought.
I'm still trying to comprehend this. This is blowing my mind again. I'm saying like, whoa.
What is interesting though is that from the way we understand computers currently, which may be quite a naive perspective given that they've only been around for Finn, you probably know this better than I do.
34 years.
Yeah,
no, sorry. That's like modern computers. Like, we've had old computers for like 60 years.
Call it 50, 60, right?
Yeah, okay.
50, 60 years out of the however many 100,000 that humans have been around.
Yeah.
We can't really know how powerful computers can get. Like, at the moment, we're only sort of breaking the ice.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
What you mean. We're so early on.
And we're literally about to crack through,
VR as well.
No. God, what's it called? Quantum computing. Like, that's crazy. The fact
that's a whole
completely
yeah, that's a whole
unattached.
literally that breaks society when that happens. That's literally just denying what should be possible.
There is, I suppose, one test that you could conduct to know whether you're in a simulation, because if, from the way we understand computers, classical computers,
sure,
they can't simulate anything. They can't
programmed
simulate a computer that is more powerful than the computer that's running the simulation.
Okay.
But if you try and build a computer that is as powerful as you can make it, potentially you could reach a point where the simulation will break because whatever's running it can't simulate something that's more powerful than itself.
Yeah. It's also interesting to think of like all these strange coincidences. So in the world, just like when people, say, oh, look at this miracle that's happened, or like something crazy has happened that should not be physically possible, you could just think like, is that a bug? Is that just a bug? Like part of the simulation's just not working? Or it's just interesting to think that could be the explanation if it was a simulation. Like, it almost backs it up in a way.
Yeah, jeez.
So what would you constitute as a bug? Anything that we deem bad in the world? Natural disaster?
No. Just like a bug, something that seems not physically possible within our laws of like physics, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I've got an example here, about with a simulation theory where this guy was called Devin Moore. He basically played video games, GTA, for ages, and then eventually ended up going out and committing a crime. And it links into simulation because he said, before he died, he just said to the police, like, life is just a video game. We just gotta die at some point. And this links to the simulation theory because of those words, and those were his final words. And that's.
I think that's someone who's very far out of touch with reality. At that
You
point.
think? But then you could argue simulation theory is out of touch reality. Like, that's not really, it's not reality. It defeats the point of reality.
Absolutely. But to then go and act in that way, based on that, I mean, it's one thing to believe in these things and to think about and discuss them, and it's one to believe wholeheartedly that they're true and then go and do something horrific accordingly.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, this one's blown my mind a bit. What do we think on this? Yeah or nay? I quite like this idea. I quite like the idea of simulation. I'm gonna give it.
Yeah.
It is comforting. I mean, even if I'm not real, at least I was designed really fucking well.
At least you were designed in a manner that makes you think you were real.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I'm real.
True.
I'm having fun right now. That's good enough for me. Like,
yeah.
Is it worth entertaining the idea that we're not real, or trying to break out of the idea that we're not real? Like, if you break past that barrier, surely you'd have some sort of ego death, or like real like conundrum where you just sort of you're thinking about the value of your existence.
That's a terrifying concept.
Yeah, perhaps it's better to just sort of accept it, because reality is only what we expect it to be. So why make it anything else?
I think that's what's fundamentally different about this one, is that it doesn't just immediately assume that.
True. Yeah.
It doesn't just immediately assume that our world is reality. And
Yeah.
But as far as this sort of links to life after death, I guess if you're a sprite, you're just a sprite in a simulation. You can die, but your program is still there. You can just be rebooted, right?
You're just a sequence of zeros and ones put together that represent something rather than being something.
So in the same way that you could just delete a file.
Yeah, like you're put together so complexly to think that you have autonomy, but in reality, you're actually just programmed to believe that. So.
Oh no, this is weird. Yeah.
Hmm.
Then we die because they just delete the file. Oh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Makes you feel very meaningless. In a
Yeah,
sense.
it does. Yeah.
You're just a blip. Just be deleted.
Just
That's
a
it.
bit of
You're
data.
gone.
That's all it.
Pretty much.
This last theory I've got. Did you say your one as well, Finn?
Yeah.
What was yours called? The terrorist theory.
No.
Oh.
Terror management theory.
Oh, okay. So obviously this theory is just like the complete opposite of what we've been talking about. This is the nihilist. What is it? Nihilist? Nihilist theory, where there actually is no life after death. So there's nothing there. So what we've been talking about is all irrelevant. We die. That's it. I think it's quite just.
Yeah, it kind of just negates all value and meaning in the universe and our life. Like,
see, I don't think it does.
I no, because I think if we know there's going to be absolutely nothing, then let's do as much as we can.
Yeah, exactly.
While we know there's something.
I only say that in the way that that's what true like nihilism in a really broad sense is.
Gabby.
Like, just the fact that there's every action that you take and every feeling that you feel ultimately lacks significance.
Well, not to you.
Yeah, I know, but okay, but all right. I think I get what you're coming
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Once you're gone, that's it.
But you have no impact on where the world's going. Like, I think this is the idea, right? This isn't my belief, but the idea, you have no impact on anything on a grand scale. Like, what are you in the universe? You're a speck. Like, you could have no impact, and there's no point in you living fundamentally because you make no change. Yeah,
you can still make a change. You can still leave the world a better place than you found it.
But does that make a difference? I think that's the point it's trying to say. Like, you could say that, like, oh, save lives, but that makes no difference either, because those lives mean nothing either.
In comparison to the size of the universe and like how small that will actually be, no, it doesn't really make much difference to anything. But I think the thing is that in the sort of 80, 90 years that you might be here, if it makes a difference to your life and some other people's, that's your entire world. That's your perception of the universe. And if you can make a difference to that, then I think it has achieved something, and I think you do have meaning.
Yeah, I think that's a very pessimistic view, like where life means no meaning.
For sure. I mean, honestly, it just edges on the border of depression. Just
believing
that nothing has a purpose.
I don't agree.
Do you not?
No, because nihilism doesn't inherently have to be pessimistic. In fact, there's a whole philosophical view just called optimistic nihilism, which is the realization and the acceptance that ultimately, you don't really have an impact on the universe on the grand scheme of things. But in the time that you're here, in the same way that Theo said, you can make a difference.
Yeah, agreed. I like viewing it like that
on a small scale. And if you just accept that, then personally, I think that just makes everything easier to deal with.
I like how you guys are seeing it positively. I can only seem to perceive it negatively.
Yeah, but it's life in general, isn't it? If I viewed life like that, then I wouldn't be happy at all. I gotta view it like positively. I
understand, and I'm able to view it positively. But in terms of a theory, I'm trying to really get into the mind of the theory, like why it exists, and in terms of what the theory is trying to explain, the way of thinking it's trying to explain, is just
It's just the most
are
rational
fundamentally
theory, isn't it?
negative.
There's no evidence for any
No,
of the
it's
other
just
ones we said, so
fundamentally
it's just the most
negative.
rational one. That makes sense. Like, there's nothing after death.
Well, yeah, it's the one that makes most sense in relation to what we know as
Well,
fact.
yeah, it's just a rational
Like,
one, isn't it? It's
because
just,
you can't tell anyone as for fact there's life after death. You can't
Yeah.
tell anyone for fact that we're in a simulation, but you can tell everyone as a fact known by, not necessarily a fact, but as the most like realistic truth that we know is that nothing, like there is nothing, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm going off on one.
No, not at all. This entire stream is going off on one.
what are they saying?
No, I mean just the whole
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
topic
yeah.
we're talking. Like
Yeah.
you can't talk about this without going off on one.
It does. It sort of spiral into this existential thought of like, what's real, what's not, what matters, what doesn't. Like, it becomes this whole thing.
I love it.
I think that's
Yeah.
what stems a lot of these beliefs for people. You know, oh well, to me this is real, so, and then it just snowballs from there.
Yeah, so it just acts as a reassurance to
Yeah.
sort of just put you from a safe distance from that realization. So like, religion is basically just a brick wall that stops you realizing that life is meaningless.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, I mean, religion I think was definitely a control measure, but a lot of the life after death I think is to give people hope.
Yeah,
I think that's what
All about
most
faith,
of,
hope
isn't
or
it?
meaning.
especially
Yeah.
that aspect of religion, is to give people hope.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how robust this is emotionally, because if you were told right now that, oh, you have late stage cancer and you have 3 months to live, you're then in a position where you're having to confront your mortality for the first time,
Yeah.
and it suddenly becomes very real in that moment. I don't know if one can even continue to hold that perspective once you're in that position.
Which perspective?
The perspective of nihilism.
Okay. Why do you think that would change in the face of death?
Well, I mean, lots of people do.
They'd want to complete
I
their
re-
bucket list, right? They'd go out and
Priests go around to people on their deathbeds. You know, do you want to convert? Do you want to at this in your final moments? Do you want, you know, just in case? Do you want to repent for your sins and have a chance again? Because
Surely that's sort of just like a hollow. That's just a hollow thing, like, because you probably don't believe it, but you're using it as a backup plan.
no,
Like,
but maybe you haven't given it proper thought until you've had to confront your mortality.
yeah, I get, perhaps, yeah.
I think this also adds to a lot of people say they're not scared of death. It's because they've never been in a situation where they may genuinely die. I don't think you know if you're actually scared of it until
Exactly. That's
until
what I
you're
think.
confronted with it. Because no, right now I'm not scared of death, but I've never been in a, you know, been told I might not have long to live, or been in a genuinely near-death experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
if someone asked me if I fear death, I'd be like, well, no. But it's, you know, I'm 20 years old. I don't know shit
Yeah,
about
literally,
this.
it's so easy to say you don't fear death when there's literally no realistic perspective. You have really no perspective on it. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can tell you can comfort yourself in the fact that you know that right now you're not in any danger of death. So in reality, you can't say that you actually don't fear death.
I think fundamentally the brain doesn't like to process these thoughts, and any chance it can get to sort of just put a brick wall between you and them, it will take that chance. And I think nihilism serves that purpose quite well.
Yeah.
But then once you're at the point where you can no longer put something between you and death, you know, you think, oh, I've got 60, 70 years ahead of me still, you know, I'm fine. I don't need to think about it yet. But, you know, can't live forever.
I think it then does start to become quite a painful thought for a lot of people when they reach an age where they may well just die, just from old age, and they think, oh, well, what if there is nothing? Did I waste my time? Then that's when it starts to become quite a depressing thought, and could become quite painful for a lot of people.
Yeah, that leads quite nicely onto my theory that I was going to talk about, if you don't mind, Spence.
Yeah. What do we think of that? Just before we move on, yay and nay?
Big yay from me.
I quite like that as well. Yeah, big yay for me as well.
I'm not a fan.
3 yays and 1 no.
Yeah, I can only I understand how you guys perceive it, but I can only perceive it in a negative light. Therefore, it seems just a little bit too depressing for me.
No worries, go for it. What's the one that links into?
It's just called terror management theory, which apparently takes from the work of Ernest Becker, who argues that civilization itself is built so as to buffer any thoughts about our immortality. So our ability to think of death at any moment and simultaneously our biological reflex to preserve our lives has created symbolic and literal structures of immortality, such as nationalism and religion, that allow us to escape from the constant dread of our own deaths. So everything we do is a result of our need to escape this sort of death anxiety, and significantly, the theory has a great deal of empirical support due to the mortality salience hypothesis. I have no idea what that means, but the first bit is pretty easy to understand, pretty interesting.
That is very insightful.
Yeah. So fundamentally, everything that we create is literally because of a biological and emotional need to escape the thought of death, because we're scared of death, which makes sense because there's at a really, really, really fundamental level, all organisms have that need to survive, that want to survive. That's the one thing that drives us and makes us evolve. So it makes sense that that's the one thing that we try and escape, and it's the one thing that we create all these we build our civilizations on models of religion which help us escape that idea.
My mind is blown after that, bro. I'm trying to read it. I'm like, whoa. That's a good one though.
Maybe put a link in chat there. I think Gabby's missed it.
Don't have the link. I'll just.
I can put it on screen. I can put it on screen.
Yeah, sure.
Just this is a little flowchart.
Okay.
I don't know if this is what.
Can
you see that?
So the civilization that we've built is to buffer any thoughts of our immortality, basically.
Yeah, distal defense is a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, so you're saying
I don't understand everything on that flowchart. But...
So we're scared of death. And that's the whole.
Yeah.
That's the whole base of it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, our ability to think of death at any moment and simultaneously our biological reflex to preserve
to keep
our
us in line, right?
Yeah, has made us create symbolic and literal structures of immortality like nationalism and religion, which lets us try and escape this constant dread or anxiety over our own death.
That's definitely viable. It makes sense as well.
Yeah, I think in a really, really fundamental, almost in an evolutionary sense, it makes sense.
I think it has a very strong element of truth in it.
I think that makes sense. The only thing that's going through my head is, what about the people that choose death?
I think this is more like a hive, like hive mind. Like most people, this is the majority.
Yeah, then you have outliers.
As a civilization, because obviously you're going to have outliers who are mentally ill, but in terms of a species, we built these things.
Not even mentally ill. There are some people that are just told that they might not have quality of life because of something else, and they choose. There are clinics in the Netherlands, I think. Switzerland, okay. That will
euthanize.
Yeah. So, at what point do you lose concept of not wanting to die and switch to maybe this is better than what I've got right now? Where does this break down, basically?
Surely that could only be worked out on an individual basis. Like, if an individual is truly mentally well, but is in a physically bad position, and all they're going to do is endure torture, I feel like it still weighs on this, airs on the side of mental, like a detriment to their mental health. Like, because if you're in a really bad place and you know that life, so if you're in the slums and every day is pain and you've got to walk walk miles to get your water, you can't eat that much, I feel like that's, even though you might not clinically be diagnosed as having depression, it's still going to weigh on your mental health and ultimately may drive you to something like suicide.
Yeah.
I agree with this theory, but I do think that there is definitely some outliers and some room for not room for sort of. But there are definitely some exceptions to it.
Mm.
Gee. Did you have any?
Cheese, Rick.
Did you have any more, Finn? Was like, did you say you had two?
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
I think that one's really interesting. I think that one's like,
I really like it. I
Mm.
think it's very it's very innate in human nature to procrastinate, and I think that applies to thoughts about death as well. Because I mean, when was the last time you actually sat down and had a really good think about death?
It's called terror management theory, Gabby. Sorry, yeah, no.
Yeah. Any excuse we can use to deflect it or put it off.
Yeah, I mean,
it's natural to take.
It just makes sense. Like everything we've built as a civilization is to buffer death, like safety measures.
yeah, it's just death keeping us in
everything.
line, isn't it? That's basically the
Well,
basis
yeah,
of it.
we
Yeah.
all everything we do, we have measures to try and keep death as minimum. And like it's really
Yeah.
it's quite sort of fitting to this pandemic at the moment. Like right now, everything that's being done is minimizing death, avoiding death. Like nothing else is, because like the economy is going to take a huge blow, but that's negligible because ultimately the priority is negate death, like minimize it.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, try convincing that to some of the
Yeah.
leaders right now.
No, of course, but like fundamentally that should
Yeah.
be the aim, like minus the corrupt politicians, etc. But
Yeah.
for most,
Yeah.
that's
Did
the aim.
you hear that theory that Boris actually wasn't in hospital, and that this is
Depends how you read this stuff.
Nah, we'll stop. Yeah. Yeah. I think that theory is actually pretty. I think that's one of my favourites, because it makes the most sense to me.
Mm.
Because I can relate to
Yeah,
that quite a
same.
lot.
I think it makes plenty of sense.
It doesn't have anything. It doesn't hold any values based in something that isn't real. Like it's not like it doesn't have this idea of heaven, or it doesn't have this idea of karma. Like it's pretty just based on how we live our lives.
Yeah, it's not a belief system. It's just, I think it's quite a fundamental observation.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I'm sold.
Oh yeah, I'm sold too.
Big
Do you
yay
want
from
me to
me.
look at the last theory, Spencer?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yep, go for it.
Well, it's kind of just like a wild card because I didn't really want to end on that really depressing note. I mean, I don't think that's
depressing. I think that's.
No, this is still kind of depressing.
At all.
All right. Well, it's Cosmicism, right? I don't know.
Oh wait, yeah. Go.
It's kind of.
This rings a bell.
Yeah, it's kind of it was used by Lovecraft, right? H.P. Lovecraft in his stories. So it's basically like I'm gonna put it as basically as I can, just because otherwise it's gonna get too confusing. But the idea that we as a race are so okay, so let me look at it. So it greatly emphasizes the tragedy of human life in the face of an indifferent universe, because so as it's shown in Lovecraft's work, he has giant extraterrestrial beings, cosmic beings, which randomly and chaotically appear and just disrupt human existence and destroy human life and disappear without any trace or consequence. So it's sort of just highlighting the insignificance of our race, entertaining the idea that there is a higher being out there that could completely destroy that in literally a second by sort of null and voiding our rules of life, like physics. Just sort of completely ignore it, just destroy our life and then leave as if nothing's happened.
Yeah, I'm
I
reading
think
that now.
Is that the same thing?
Cosmopolitanism.
That's cosmopolitanism.
Is that not what you said?
That's not. No, that's a Cosmicism.
Close one.
Nearly there.
We got there in the end.
Okay, so let me clear something up. So is the idea of these enormous cosmic beings a necessity within this framework, or is it just
because the whole idea is the whole idea is based in the fact that the universe is so large, and the largeness and complexity of the universe speaks to the and the way that it's indifferent to our being and survival is
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of paramount to the whole idea. So
I think
we
that's
are so just we are tiny in comparison to that. So these beings that are, or like entities that could be lying out in the universe, are just sort of make us look so much more insignificant.
Yeah.
I,
So yeah.
no, Karen Spence.
No, you go for it. I was gonna ask a question.
Okay, I was going to say I agree with it to an extent in the fact that the cosmos is completely indifferent, and it's not conscious to make that decision as far as we know. So it's just, it's a cold dark void. But I mean, that much I agree with. As far as the cosmic beings go, I mean, I guess are they just sort of extraterrestrial beings? Like, are they
It's sort of just
analogous
beyond
to aliens,
perception.
or are they just completely beyond?
Well, like just beyond. Yeah, I guess you could just call them extraterrestrials, but they're just like cosmic beings who have control of things outside of the realm of physics. It's just like
almost
is this almost leading towards
deities.
gods?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because I have no doubt that we're alone in the universe, but I think gods are a different concept to saying that they're beings in the universe. Because I don't think we're alone, but gods almost.
It kind of entertains the idea of both. Like,
yeah.
So cosmic beings is in extraterrestrials, but then cosmic beings is in deities who like have no concern of our laws of physics and the way our world works. Like, it's so minute to them that it doesn't matter in the way they go about their lives, which is sort of the whole point.
So is it similar to the way that if I go and pour acid down an anthill without a second thought,
yeah, exactly,
I'm just completely indifferent as to their existence?
Yeah, like you
we're
don't.
the ants in that scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Christ.
it's just sort of entertaining the idea that at any point that sort of thing could happen, and like the insignificance of our life in the universe that's so big that it's more of like it's almost like a fictional theory, because Lovecraft obviously writing fiction, but I like the idea just because it's kind of dealing with something that's so beyond our thought that it's almost, well, it's just scary to think about.
From like coming back to what you said about being sort of outside the laws of physics that we understand. Obviously, there's nothing that we can say about that, because anything we don't understand within our framework of physics there's nothing we can say about it. Like, I don't know how else to put
exactly.
it.
Yeah, that's
so.
I
guess there's no proof otherwise.
Yeah, that's the point.
Because there are things we don't. There are plenty of things we don't know.
Yeah.
And without trying to sound like a sort of supernatural, paranormal perspective, it's still it's I can entertain it.
Yeah.
That one's blown my mind the most, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Glad I could be there to help, Spence.
Quite cool. Well, so I don't know. It's blown my mind, but whether I don't know if I agree with that one as much as your one before.
Yeah, no, far more
Terror
the fictional
management
side. Like,
yeah,
terror management is
terror management makes sense.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, it's less of a theory, more of just a perspective on how we live life. Like, it's kind of just
yeah.
It's kind of just I mean, it's almost just fully true, but
yeah,
obviously people are going to dispute it. But whereas this is sort of more fictional, but still a theory that is in, like, this is just our life is so minute compared to that possibility of things happening outside of our realm of understanding.
Yeah, I'll give that a nay for me though, as in believing it wise.
Yeah, I'm also giving it a nay.
I couldn't say either way.
I guess so, actually. Yeah,
I'm a bit half and half. I can't quite.
I mean,
I'm changing.
I'm going to be the same as Joe. Like, you can't Can't say yes.
You can't fault it,
say
I
no.
guess, because you
Yeah,
don't know.
the world, the universe is just so unbelievably like
Yeah.
just huge.
I guess it's better to
you
get
can't-
open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't possibly count out anything.
Yeah, true. Alright. I like that. I'm gonna end on a positive note. Last quick one.
Mm.
Just, our life after death, memories. We live on as memories for other people.
Hey, nice.
That's nice.
So,
Nice.
obviously, linking it in, make sure you're living your life. Create them memories for other people, for you.
That for me is what makes nihilism optimistic, because
Yeah, because you get to.
it brings meaning to a meaningless existence. If people can have positive memories about you after you're gone,
Yeah, legacy.
they can view you as a role model, then I think you've done your job.
It's like a fundamental part of like living life to your fullest. Like you leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you make a mark, it doesn't matter what happens after death. It doesn't matter if you die. You're being remembered by the world you lived in.
Exactly.
The people that you lived with.
Yeah.
There was
That's important.
I'm not sure who the quote was by. Loads of things are saying it was like Banksy and stuff like this, but people say that you die once when you die, and you died twice the last time someone says your name.
Whoa.
And I think that's
a good one.
That's because you will be remembered forever if
someone's
if they keep saying your name.
That's a Coco kind of vibe.
That's tomorrow's quote, boys. That's tomorrow's quote sorted. Yeah, I quite like that. I think as long as you leave this earth, you've impacted at least one person's life, and they talk about you after your death. That's perfect for me.
Yeah, do you think it acts as an argument against nihilism, or is sort of like alongside it? I don't know. I feel like that
How
could
do
be
you mean?
alongside it. Like, does it counteract the idea that life is meaningless? I guess in one way it does.
Joe, like it's optimism nihilism, isn't it, or optimistic nihilism?
Optimistic, yeah.
Yeah. Where you're living your life to the fullest because you know there's nothing after, so you're making the most of it, rather than not thinking anything.
I wouldn't say it goes against it. I would say it works quite well with it.
I'd say it goes against it because fundamentally.
I might be missing something.
No, I just think because fundamentally nihilism is the fact that nothing matters, right? Like life is meaningless.
Yeah.
Whether it's pessimistic or optimistic, but
yeah,
this idea of memories. If you believe that memories are important, then you've obviously like that just counteracts it, because no matter whether or not you think your life is meaningless, if you believe that your memories are important, memories stay after death. You don't have anything to do with it. It's not like when you die, the memories of you disappear. So I think it counteracts it.
Okay, so when the last memory of you is gone, you might as well just not have existed.
Sure.
That's what you're saying.
Is it the last memory other people have of you?
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from there now, yeah. But I think...
does that... Go on.
Yeah, so if you wanted to leave something behind, then life means something. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so I think, personally, I think it counteracts nihilism. Just in a fundamental sense, not going too deep.
I'd agree to an extent.
Yeah, that's a nice thought, Spencer. I like that.
Lovely stuff.
It is.
This was a long one. I quite enjoyed this one though. It's actually opened my mind quite a bit.
I loved every second of this.
Yeah, it's always good to chat about this kind of stuff. You always hear stuff you can't possibly like entertain, and then
yeah, I think it's good to chat about as well, because like you never really get a chat about sort of topics like this.
Yeah, for real.
Stuff that's usually under the rug, brings up, talk about.
Rug, yeah. Definitely, man.
Open my mind a bit to other sort of theories. I quite like the simulation one a bit. After talking about it a bit more, I quite like it. Like just the idea of it.
I like how Joe put it, in the idea that realistically, if you believe in the idea that simulation is possible, or if you can entertain the idea that technology can make simulation possible, then you have to believe that statistically we're not real, which is pretty crazy.
Jeez. Yeah, I've enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Anything else to input, boys? Anything else?
I was gonna ask what's the topic for next week or next time?
It'll be Monday. We'll do next one on Monday. 9 p.m.
It is.
Got any ideas?
I think we're gonna get a Danish guest on if he still wants to come on. It's gonna be like growing up in another country, like a foreign country.
Okay.
So it's gonna be
So
it's gonna be biased for like UK, I guess, because we're saying anyone who's not in the UK is foreign. So it's just been growing up
Sure.
in like another European country in a way. Because obviously life's a lot different. So just want to get like an idea of like society for them, like their beliefs in society, see how like it's different to ours. I
Yeah.
think it'd be quite
okay.
interesting.
That'll be interesting. I'll be
No,
tuning in.
Lovely stuff, gents.
Lovely
Sick.
stuff.
Anything else to
Alright.
say for you?
No?
Enjoyed it,
All
boys.
right, I think
Enjoyed
that's pretty much our wrap then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Alright.
It's all good.
Thank you,
Cheers,
ladies.
guys. That was
Thank you.
that was
Completed
actually-
philosophy. Good job.
Yeah,
fellas.
very
Yeah,
entertaining.
we've all got
Enjoyed it.
degrees
We've all
now. Good.
graduated.
Yeah. Well done, boys.
All right.
Awesome. I'll see you later. See
Good
See
hustle.
you boys later. Cheers to this.
In
you
a bit.
later.
Ta-ra.
Have a
guys.
lovely Saturday evening.
You
Yeah,
too,
you
mate.
too.
Bye.
Big love.